Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening, Aussie Pride, watching live. Not too often I do. Have a great night. Thank you. That's great. G'day, everyone. How you going? All you people in the chat there and over on the different channels. Yeah, we actually... after we've been talking about Stop the Rot, funnily enough, guys, you know how it wouldn't go past 14,200. I got a message yesterday or the day before or something that, well, we've hit 15,000. It's funny, isn't it, when you sort of talk about it? But, yeah, Emma's in trouble. We know Emma's there. It's just got to happen, guys. It's the intro that goes with the show. Everybody knows it. Okay. So we've had 3 people now pass away in the flood. So our prayers and thoughts go out for them up on the coast, guys, Taree and that. More rain on the way. Sydney's next, they say. Libs and the Nats, well, you know, they're off and on more than, you know, more than someone's drawers. But anyway, they're trying to negotiate now. Me and Caz are going to talk about this, but we're getting a lot of feedback, and we'd like to know who voted Labor, because we don't think anyone did. All right. So, you know, and then, of course, we've got who now, someone's just put in the comment, thanks for that. James Larson was one of the people that were over at the signing this up to the WHO guys. But it looks like it's Albo's phantom son. I mean, he's got the speech impediment. He's a nerd. Yeah, he's got all the characteristics that he could just be some phantom son. So we need to look into James Larson and, yeah, see if maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying. Funny how he's got the same speech impediment. Anyway, COVID-19 back in the news, guys. Are we physically and mentally ready for another wave of pandemic?
Fiona Webster.
Thanks, Fiona.
No, that was the other one.
Oh, that was the other one, wasn't it? Fiona Webster. Okay.
So thank you to Amanda Pesh.
Well, thank you to you, darling, and thank you to you 2 clowns, James Larson and Fiona Webster, for actually, you know, fucking up our future. One more little bit. You know what I mean? It's just not on. But anyway, they're going to try and pull another pandemic, guys. We know it. We're ready for it. We ain't wearing it, but we got work to do here in Australia, guys. We really have. So up in Queensland, no New Year's Eve celebrations this year. They've already made the decision now that it won't be happening. So yeah, they don't like you enjoying yourself and doing Australian things. And yeah, we've got a actual we got a games going on in LA in 2026, guys, where it's called the Superhumanity. So they're letting people get on the drugs and that. And yeah, one of them is going to be James Magnuson. You know, they're allowed to get on the gear and then go and like compete. Like, you know, this world's just lost its chops. Anyway, that's what's going on over there. And then they tell us that 14 types of cancer are on the rise in people under 50. Well, really? If you're going to, like I say every night, you're going to whack bioweapons up people's arms without informed consent, without, you know, actually anything. Well, yeah, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And that's exactly what's gone on, guys. It is not nice. Now, James Larson does not. Come in, Caz, whenever you're ready, darling. James Larson does not have any right to sign us up to the WHO, and neither does Fiona Webster. And thanks to the people that put those names in there. Unreal.
And China's just come into the rescue for them, giving them $500 million so that they can continue operating because they were very broke. Because Trumpy decided they weren't worth it. Oh, dear.
Yeah, get to the governors. Exactly right, Belinda. You just want to start acting now, people. You really do.
We've got a heap of news.
Yeah,
all right, let's kick it off with Rocco and his homeless report.
Rocco Vardy coming to you from the very famous Horston Park homeless strip. Before I, show you the next story, guys, every day I just ask myself, when the hell am I going to do one on a foreigner? It just never happens, guys. This next bloke here, he's very similar to the previous guy. He's been burned out in business. He's in air conditioning. I did approach him earlier to ask him if he was interested in making some comments on how bad our government is. By the look on his face, he was just over it. With the whole matrix has just like burnt him out, and his plans are now just to move to Queensland, him and his dog, and find some facilities, some showers, toilets, some complex like that where he can, he can locate himself and in a much cheaper area. And he did say that he may come up to me tomorrow and tell me a bit more about himself, but. It's an all too often, a situation here where people are just getting burnt through, their careers, and they're left with nothing. Just he's lucky. He's like the last guy. He's got very spacious van, and he'll get a good night's sleep. Unlike some of the cars here, that people have to sleep in some of the cars. Anyway, Rocco with another homeless Aussie story. It's getting pathetic. Okay, sending you tremendous love. Cheers. Yeah.
You know, I've got another clip, Caz, that I have thrown over, and it's about this guy going through the middle of Noosa. In the middle of Noosa, there is this complex that could be getting used. It's unbelievable, man. It's all there. It's run down, but I'm sure people would want to get in there and help fix it up. You know, there's fire hydrants, everything. It was incredible, man. You know, but we can't go near them. Government won't let you near them, guys. They're abandoned. Get out of here.
I know. And it's going to get worse. This is macro business, and they've been looking at their numbers. And listen to this breakdown. It's a little bit longer than we usually have, but it's well worth it.
Housing Supply and Affordability Council released its annual State of the Housing System report. And what it said was that the Albanese government's target to build 1.2 million homes over 5 years is not going to be met, and it's not going to be met by a very wide margin. So the National Housing Supply and Affordability Council has instead forecast that only 938,000 homes are going to be built over the next 5 years. Now, that's obviously, 260-odd thousand below what the government's housing target is. So we're not going to build nearly enough homes. They basically identify a whole bunch of factors. So firstly, construction costs have increased by about 40% since the pandemic. So it costs 40% more now to build a home than it did, say, 5 years ago. And as a result, homes are too expensive to build, so we build less of them. And it means that builders can't make a profit because it costs so much to build, and we've got to mark them up so much that people can't afford to buy them at those prices. So we build less homes. They also say that the official cash rate or interest rates are structurally higher than they were, last decade when we built a decent amount of homes. So just to put this into perspective, the federal government's target is to build 240,000 homes per year for the next 5 years. The single biggest year of housing construction in Australia's history was 225,500 in 2017. Now, that alone, in the biggest year in history of Australia's housing construction, we built 6% less homes than what the government has forecast every year for the next 5 years, right?
Yeah, worth watching, guys. But look, we all know it. You know, this is for the uneducated. You know, we know what they're doing. They're coming at us very, very hard. We got some great clips tonight, guys, to show you where and how hard they are coming. But the clips are encouraging because the clips are, you know, some of the people here are fighting back, guys. All right, they're willing to be arrested. They're fighting back, and we're having a go. So, yeah, it's on. It's on.
No, that's it, and it's spilling over into the political classes too, as we'll see. Look, let's have a look at the ant poisoning before we go.
This is terrible. This is absolutely bullshit.
Chemicals on civilians from helicopters. I've heard this before. I've heard this before. How do you stop it getting in our roofs and getting into our water?
It was on my husband. It was on my husband the other day. The helicopters came over and it dropped straight on him.
Are you throwing chemicals on civilians from helicopters?
Behind the smiles, the venom flows. In every lie, the darkness grows. They wear their masks, their hearts concealed. The poison spreads, the truth revealed. The forces all around deceit in their eyes. In every whisper there's no web of lies. They hide their fangs behind their grace, but you can see it.
Now, you're probably, sorry, Caz, but you probably won't be watching the show. But for you,
cretins,
I'm going to use it. Yeah, fucktards, right? That's the word, right? Fucktards that are actually out there working for the government to do this to the Australian people and yourself. All right? Have a think about it, guys. Have a think about it. You know, what are these people that are doing this, Caz? Are they just lefties or commos that they got on the payroll or something, you know, giving them a job in council and said, right, this is what you're going to do? Because the normal person would not do this. They would not do it.
I don't think I know anyone that would do this, you know. Look, let's have a look at this one because they're just out of control.
52 Main Street, Sanford. I get this document stating property access required. Fire ant eradication program. First attempt of entry. I can't believe that these people will have put this notice of entry onto my property to treat the whole property on the 31st, which was Monday. The clouds have been swirling over the Sanford Valley for all these days. Today, yesterday has been pouring rain. When we spoke to these eradication program workers, they said they weren't treating.
Excuse me, are you guys baiting here today?
No, we're not baiting here today.
No? What are you just doing, like house checks, or you're not putting
contact details so that we can come and treat when the weather changes?
Oh, that's okay. So you're not, because I was going to say the ground seems quite wet at the moment.
That's why we're not carrying bait.
All right, that's okay.
So I'm a little confused about getting this notice because I now already have my first attempt of entry. When they come back the next time, I will have my final attempt of entry. But they weren't baiting this day that they put this on, or they weren't poisoning. Then I will get them turning up with the police and causing all sorts of hullabaloo.
Did you hear what I just said? Obstruct me in this arrest, you will be arrested.
Okay, you're obstructing police and their duties, okay? Please don't.
It is completely on the water, this whole property. So, and everything here is concrete, as you can see, to keep it clean for our business. There is hardly any earth on this block of land. There's this little strip here, and there's a little strip, same size just down there, and the rest is right on the creek edge. Let's go and have a look.
And all on concrete.
And it's this little bit of land just here, which is directly adjacent to the waterway, which is our creek. The rest is concrete. I actually spoke to the Fire Ant Eradication program today, and they said they will be baiting this whole property whether I like it or not. And I told them they will not be putting S-methoprene or pyriproxfen on this land. Here is our creek. They're going to be putting bait all the way down here into this creek where there are water dragons, turtles, platypus, frogs, bird life abundance, and they're poisoning it with either S-methoprene or pyriproxfen. I don't know which one, but they're going to do it. You cannot tell me.
Where's the environmental impact statements?
Where's the cop saying that, get it, don't stop me doing my duty? What, is your duty to help people kill our fucking wildlife, you dingbat? Is it? Is that your duty to the community? Can we name any of these people that are in there, the worker? Can someone up that area? You know, this is a vast show. All right, you know, I'd love to know who that guy was that was talking to that pommy chick in the car. Because these guys are, you know, this is bullshit. And we're, you know, the art of war, make it personal. No threats of anything there, violence or anything else, but yeah, make it personal. Call these fuckers out.
Yeah, and it's not as if like they're just at war with us. There's no doubt about it. Like, you know, look at this.
Data and evidence in the samples and material. Destroying the samples would be a crime. Punishment for all responsible could include jail time and massive fines. The Human Research and Ethics Committee and board members of Metro North are failing in their duty and oversight responsibilities. This may make them culpable. Why do these bodies wish to destroy the samples and data? What are they trying to hide? Papers are about to be completed and published for the first 18 months of the research. If the research reveals problems with the COVID shots, it would embarrass Queensland health bureaucrats and politicians. That's motive for destroying the samples and the evidence. If the research reveals no problems with the shots, why would Queensland Health not release the data and conclusions? With a $4 billion annual budget, Queensland Health's Metro North can afford to continue storing the samples and preserve the data. I call for this decision to be immediately withdrawn and steps taken to preserve the specimens and reinstate this vital program to provide conclusions as to the nature and effects of the COVID injections.
Look, so you've got that, but you also have on that, like we already know, because you've got also Senator Ron Johnson with this.
This shows the number
States.
of daily cases of COVID, and you see it's peaking in January. You know, right as we're rolling out the vaccine, but we really haven't injected it with anybody. If by the time we had any kind of significant uptake of the vaccines, we were way down in terms of the number of daily cases. I mean, this virus was burning itself out. Okay, now we had different variants. Again, I've read a lot of information about vaccination into the midst of a pandemic driving variants. Is that what happened? I don't know. But you would think if a vaccine were that effective, the tail would just continue and the pandemic would be over. But that's not what happened. We had a whole new surge, and this is Delta, and doctors I've talked to, very deadly, probably a more deadly. Would you agree with that, Dr. McCulloch? Delta was more deadly. I know you guys are kind of freaking out that your early treatment wasn't working as well.
It was definitely more difficult to treat. But fortunately, by that time, we had treatments.
But anyway, I just wanted to put this thing up here again. Again, to a layman, if the vaccine really worked, was that efficacious, prevent all that disease? By the way, they all admitted that it didn't prevent transmission. They lied to us about that for 4 months, maybe a year. Then they finally had to admit it didn't prevent transmission. But again, this chart right here just shows you that if the vaccine really would have worked, you wouldn't have had this. You wouldn't have had this. But I'll turn it over to Senator Blumenthal.
We all know we wouldn't have had it. You know, I mean, we know what went on. They've fudged everything, guys. It's just been the biggest psychological ploy ever put on mankind. But guess what? You people, most of you out there, never fell for it. You're the smartest people in the world. And we have a job to do, and we're going to continue on doing the job, guys. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, the unrealised capital gains, like everybody's talking about that at the moment. Punters Politics has put out this.
I just found the least popular topic for me to talk about on my YouTube channel, and it is called the privatisation of our retirement system. It's called superannuation. You might have heard of it. I was reading this article by Dr. Cam Murray, who simply points out that it is costing us $30 billion a year to have foreign-owned private corporations manage our retirement system called superannuation. $30 billion in fees. That's what we pay. Plus $45 billion thereabouts in lost tax revenue. So these tax breaks we give people to save their own money. The problem is most of those tax breaks go to the top 5% of income earners in Australia. So you're giving them tax breaks to save their own money that they would have saved anyway. And here's the catch. The government's retirement system and the whole social services program is run for $6 billion. Just that's the cost. $30 billion to let private corporations do it, $6 billion to let the government do it. It's not proving popular on my YouTube channel.
And it's actually not, it doesn't cost very much at all if you manage it yourself, which is not that hard. Now, this person's actually broken down what the unrealised part of it is, and actually Zero Hedge have come out and absolutely slammed it today. We'll look at that in a minute.
Beautiful love muffins. Today I'm here to talk about tax on unrealized capital gains, also known as Division 293, also known as Better Targeted Concessions, Superannuation Concessions Bill. The bill hasn't yet passed. It was previously opposed by Crossbench for that very reason, that it's contrary to the spirit of Australian taxation law and seeks to tax unrealized gains. So it will only affect people within self-managed super funds. Tax the rich is how it's being sold to gullible simpletons. But the rich are your parents and grandparents who worked hard all their life, put their super away responsibly instead of gambling and drinking and whatever, buying smashed avocado. So it will be your inheritance, your family farm, and the assets that you are set to inherit that will be taxed to the smithereens. So Parliament will return in August, and Labor has, unfortunately, the numbers to ram it through without any changes. The impact will be huge increases to rents across the board. Yes, we're talking about residential, commercial, primary production land, etc., because no retiree is stupid enough to pay the commie tax while Albo is playing global sugar daddy and giving money to Ukraine and for refugees and migrants to study second language. They will simply not do that. So I'll do a series of stories as to what we...
And I'll just put this up, guys, and why is because I totally agree with you. Okay, is that it? Sorry. Yeah. Just talking about Malcolm Roberts. Yeah. They couldn't even stand up for your free speech, guys. But, this is a show that goes out to a vast audience and a new audience, so we need to use these people as much as we may not like them. Will we use them to get the info out?
Now, Zero Hedge, whoops, sorry. Let's go Zero Hedge article. Where is that? So Zero Hedge have looked at the numbers as far as the gains tax on the tax go. It's really bad. Actually, their report is terrible. Australia's unrealised gains tax will be a lesson in economic suicide.
We all know it.
He actually says here, but he actually writes here, taxing unrealised gains is equal parts outright effing mathematically insane and cut and dried authoritarian. Well, yes, we know that. He goes on to say down here that the fallout is not rocket science. People will be forced to liquidate assets, probably the wrong ones, at the worst possible time, just to scrape together enough real money to cover the taxes on their fake money. So it is absolutely scathing, and it's really worthwhile having a read so you're all clear about it. So what I'll do is I'll pop it into the chat down here. But, yeah, it's not good at all.
Look, nothing's good. Albo's about to send your kids off to war in Ukraine if they can keep it going. It's not good, guys. Well, it is not good, and this is why the governors... All right, I saw someone put a remark about Johnny Cantoni. I sent him a message today. I did ring him, guys. He didn't ring me back, but I just told him, like Frank did last night, to keep your head up, bro. Just keep going. All right, we just keep going. All right, so if you can help Cantoni out, I've seen a video today where he's going back, I think. So, guys, we're just all going to back each other here. This is the time, all right, to get it together.
Yeah, that's it. So speaking of Albo, of course, You know, Albanese just signed Australia up to fund the WHO at an increase of 20% on top of our usual payments. How about we leave the WHO? How about we actually leave the WHO?
Yeah, all of them.
Hmm.
Just support ourselves on this little island. We've got enough people to probably lap this island, you know, just good Aussies, and, you know, have one every 500 yards with a good sniper rifle, and we can look after our own shores.
We've got this little person too.
To the delegate of Australia, to be followed by the delegate of Belgium.
Thank you, Chair. Australia thanks the Secretariat for the updated program budget 2026-2027, including undertaking proactive reductions of the budget envelope to match current budget realities. We commend the Secretariat for the difficult but necessary reprioritization and realignment of the WHO. We acknowledge that the decisions arising from reprioritization will be felt across the organization and express appreciation of all WHO staff and the important contribution to improving health outcomes. We are pleased that WHO has focused on its comparative advantage and core mandate during the reprioritization process. This will ensure that the WHO continues to support the development and uptake of the highest priority global public goods for health.
Okay, that guy's got a speech impediment.
That's Albo Stanton's son.
Yeah. Well, like, jeez, I tell you. Now, speaking of Albo again, okay, I missed this.
I'll just throw this on. This is a very good point there, Daniel Lawson. Sorry, that's the one I think. Brady Gunn stood in the park for 3 months on his own. All right? And he did too. And then the people come, guys. So, yeah, just like we just keep going. Okay, we just keep going.
All right. Now, what's interesting about this is somebody has started up this petition of fraud, and I will pop it into the chat in a minute. However, an economist has linked Australia's population growth with a surge in support for Labor, and he has actually described it as importing future voters.
Yep.
So what he's broken down is the largest source of permanent migrants to Australia in 2023 and 2024 was India, followed by China and the Philippines and Nepal. Asked if there was any evidence that the population growth had led to support for the Labor government, Leith Van Elsen told 2GB's with Grant, unfortunately there is. There was a post-2022 election survey done by Carnegie Endowment, and it showed that 58% of the Indian community voted for Labor versus 34% for the coalition. And India is now our largest community.
We know that they were brought in, Caz, and they were told that they'd be voting for Labor. You know, that's just unbelievable.
It is. It's treason. It's high treason, as far as I'm concerned. So, and look, this is the petition here as well. I'll just show it to you first of all. Let's have a look.
Okay, so they're saying that's not James Larson, that James Larson's in his 60s. Anyway,
look at this, Steve. 4444. It's a sign. All right, so vote of no confidence. So they're putting that together, and there's also a video traveling around with it. So let's have a look at that. I'll just pop that in there, guys. If you would like to sign it, then you can. And here it is here.
Been filed to challenge the 2025 federal election. The claim that Australia's electoral laws were breached and the result should be declared void. The petition cites the Commonwealth Electoral Act 1918 and lists multiple alleged irregularities. Some Australian citizens were allegedly denied the right to vote. Claims that citizenship approvals were rushed before election day, nearly 2,000 ballots found in an AEC staff member's home, results declared while voting was still underway in Western Australia, South Australia and the Northern Territory. Accusations of misleading political advertising, ballots allegedly transported in personal vehicles and concerns about pencil voting and the lack of voter ID. The petition argues these events undermine public confidence in the outcome. Under the Electoral Act, Section 353 allows any election to be challenged in court. Section 362 empowers the court to void an election, but only if the breaches could have changed the result. The standard is high. You need evidence and impact. So what happens next? The court will decide whether the election stands or needs to be rerun. Drop a comment. What matters more to you, process or perception? And remember, Your voice matters. Your questions keep democracy honest. Full petition details linked in bio.
Now, what happens to the law maxim of fraud vitiates everything? I thought that once you establish some level of fraud, it vitiates everything.
Well, you know, that does until it doesn't suit them. And then obviously that can't work. So, you know.
That's it. Look, we're at past. We've got a lot on this weekend, and we've haven't done the flyers for a couple of nights, so I'll bring them on now.
And the Mondays at Maggie's crew is calling for tools down. It's time to stand together. A corrupt and tyrannical government is crushing industries, stripping freedoms and silencing voices. This affects every worker and every business. New South Wales under a corrupt government. Enough is enough. We won't stay silent and we demand action. So join us every Monday at the Governor's House in Sydney at 11 a.m. And on Mondays, don't forget Mondays at Maggie's, the Frank and Charles podcast. They will be hitting the streets this week. Mondays at Maggie's. And there is a call out to put Forests of the Fallens outside of the courthouses across the nation. And there is a court call out for court support for a friend of the show, Rocco, in Rocco versus New South Wales Police for victimless charges. This will be on the 3rd of the 6th of the 25th at Burwood. And in Victoria, we have the following events. In Melbourne, gather at the Governor's every Saturday to end the tyranny. 10 a.m. every Saturday at the Governor Gates. And there is an urgent call to action. Dr. Beverly Pearce is challenging the validity of state acts and the corporation policies forcing vaccination to be able to work. Her matter affects all Australians, and if successful, the states have lost their strongest control tactic over the people. Please support her in this fight for all Australians. There will be a virtual memorial service for John Murphy on the 26th of May at 10 a.m. And there is a call to action for Operation Jericho, 100,000 men on the 21st of May, 26th of May and 29th of May at Parliament House, Victoria. And join the Justice of the People in Melbourne every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. for a remembrance at the Shrine of Remembrance, lest we forget. And check out Dan Tilda's new t-shirt designs featuring the QR code, the event number of the witness statement documentary. A daily prayer space is held on X at 3 p.m. So whatever you're facing, come along and we can lift you up in prayer. Every day, 3 p.m. on X. Melissa 146233923.
Very well done, guys.
Well, the thing is that it's actually becoming part of it's really interesting how you can see us standing up and how it's actually changing the culture. Have a listen to this. It could be one of us.
Question is, these laws, are now the law of the land from the middle of February. Now, my understanding is we did have a spate of what we were told were anti-Semitic attacks prior to the caravan incident being publicised, but the Deputy Police Commissioner told us that 14 of the previous attacks, which all of us were very alarmed over the summer, that every second day there would be a very alarming incident, graffiti, bombings and other things. But since the AFP came out and said that it was a criminal con job, my understanding is that we haven't had any. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I certainly think the frequency and intensity of those anti-Semitic attacks, and I think they were anti-Semitic attacks, has certainly fallen away, yeah.
Well, that is good news. Now, do you think that's because the laws were introduced, or do you think that it was because the criminal con job was exposed?
I really don't. I don't think I've got the capacity or the information to form a view about that.
Well, I finished with my question, but I think...
Your brain. What are you doing in a job like that if you haven't got capacity to work it out? He just told you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's called a false flag. We know it's called a false flag. And he didn't call it a false flag, but he's basically nailed him on it.
Yeah, and then they're that stupid. This is how they work. They are that stupid that when they got caught out and we called them out on that trailer, within 48 hours, they shut shop up. Oh, close that section down. We'll go somewhere else. You know, they're idiots, man. Yeah, absolute idiots. You read them like a book.
That's it. All right. Look, we've got a lot of interesting news coming out from overseas as well. You've got, of course, Ramaphosa, who was visiting Trump, and Trump called him out on the death of the white farmers here.
White farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses.
So Ramaphosa had basically denied it up until that point, and he was caught out quite. It was
right, yeah.
It would have been quite embarrassed by it all. Anyway, but of course we have the Babylon Bee hitting it out of the park again. South Africa denounces white refugees for leaving before they had a chance to take all their stuff and kill them.
Yeah, no, it's terrible what's going on over there. And, you know, like Trump, you know, he's going, well, man, he just called it out. Dim the lights, turn on the telly. Well, what do you think about this? You know? Yeah.
That's it. And you've also got the Babylon Bee have also called out Kash Patel. This is nasty, but true. FBI determines Abraham Lincoln killed himself. So that's with Kash Patel. And I mean, you know, if you said that, you know, he said, oh, you know, Epstein did kill himself. Right, interesting with that one. Now, you've also got Trump coming out on the auto pen as well.
They're not going to China anymore. They love us. We love them. We're going to take care of them. And they're going to take care of us. We came back with $5.1 trillion. Trillion. Every other president would have come back having spent $5.1 trillion as usual. And remember this. We were losing $5 billion a day under the past administration. I have to be a little careful the way I talk because there's a lot of anger about that administration. And by the way, the real question, who ran the auto pen? Okay, who ran the auto pen? Because the things that were signed illegally, in my opinion. I think we've just proved that. But our country is respected.
So he's slipping in a whole heap of stuff lately. It's pretty funny.
Look, he is, you know, and as I say, we don't know where this road's going, guys, but at the moment, your job is to wake people up, all right, with what we've got going on. And, yeah, we got a lot going on.
We do. Also, you've got RFK. He's hit out at Gates.
I know most about Gates, you know, because I've written a book about him, and that what he calls philanthrocapitalism, which is you use philanthropy to make yourself rich, and you use it strategically, and that's what he's done again and again. He's gotten control of the World Health Organization so that they mandate vaccines all over the world, and the companies that make those vaccines are Gates is, in many of them, the major shareholder. And he did the same thing with the Green Revolution. He got a hold of the regulatory agencies in African countries and forced them to to change the nature of agriculture. You know, there's 20,000 generations of agriculture of people growing crops like sorghum and plantains and yucca and all these plants for subsistence. And he said, no, we're going to transfer them all to these, you know, GMO monocultures of corn, and then we're going to bring in companies.
Yeah, and then a lot of the crops failed, and then they couldn't replant the crops because they didn't have seeds, and then they basically, a lot of farmers suicided over it. So It's not that he hasn't always been calling him out, but it's gaining a lot of traction, a lot more traction than it ever gained before.
Yeah, as I say, it's good to watch over there, guys, but just keep our focus here because there's a lot of distraction out there, and the distraction is about them sneaking in what they're doing, and doing it very, very well.
And of course, you've got this this strike rather that's gaining traction. So, breaking 500,000 patriots expected to shut down Britain. Nationwide strike, major strike planned. So that's pretty awesome. But then on top of that, you've also got them trying to sneak in national service, and you watch them try it here.
A watered-down version of national service is set to be announced in the UK by the government on the 2nd of June. However, they will not be calling it national service, they will be calling it home guarding, also known as a LDV, Local Defence Volunteer. And these volunteers will be drawn up from the civilian population of the UK. For men and women between the ages of 18 and 65. The main responsibilities of these units, of these people, will be to safeguard key infrastructure around the UK. This could be hospitals, nuclear sites, electrical substations, airports. I'm sure you get the gist. The best part is, this will not be paid for. You will not be paid for this. This will be unpaid work, unpaid service. However, your expenses, day-to-day expenses, they will be covered. My question is, where are they going to draw up these volunteers from the civilian population? Who are they going to target? I think they're going to target the unemployed firstly. Could be wrong, but we're going to find out in the coming weeks. Follow me for more updates. I'll keep you up to date, for fuck's sake.
Only Anglo-Saxon unemployed. They won't touch immigrants.
No, they won't. And look, I just forgot to bring this in before. This was sent to me by you, I think. Look, so with the CFA, that's the firefighters, what they're fighting. This person has claimed that from July the 1st, it's actually the Victorian government is scrapping the old fire service property levy and replacing it with a new tax, the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund. The FSPL was already included in your rates, but it was capped and predictable and based on the basic property classification. The ESVP is not. It's a completely different system designed to charge to a fixed fee and at a variable fee based on your property's full capital improved value. And I think that means, it says CIV, that's the house and land plus everything on it. And I think that means, look, I think that if I was to explain it basically as I understand it, what they're doing is they're running up the prices of houses. They're causing it to explode. That's the only thing that's got value. It's not real value because it's only value on paper. So what they're doing is they're charging you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to crush. They are going to try and crush the community, mate. This is what they're doing. Yep.
So anyway, all right. Look, we're being taken out by the Rocking Housewife. Unity and Ashes is the name of the song. And Dave, if you'd like to wrap up and close the show, that would be great.
Patricia, you don't like the truth, block me. No one's here to block anyone, mate. Everyone's got their own opinion, all right? So I think you were talking about Trump being a Zionist. So he could be a Zionist. Okay, who knows? Do I care at the moment? Not friggin' really. All right, I've got a country to save. So it doesn't really worry me. They're going to take the path they're going to take in America. It is going to make no difference. We, the people of Australia, are the ones that need to make a friggin' difference. So I'm not going to block anyone, Patricia. You got your opinion. Your opinion. You're welcome to it. I'm not saying I don't disagree with you. All right? But what I'm saying is we got to use what we got to use. And I'm not worried about America, guys. Right? As you know, when it come to, Bosie being a dickhead, you know what I mean? I just wiped America. I just told them that I would not be seen on a screen with him. So I don't give two shits about America, really. I do. I hope they win. I hope something goes their way. But the only country I'm worried about is this one right here, guys. This one right here that we have to get back. Okay? So everyone's welcome to their opinion. Okay? You're more than welcome to it. And to express it. That's cool. But yeah, we're in trouble, guys. You want to get to the Governor General's this Monday in Sydney. If you live in Sydney or you're anywhere in the Sydney surroundings, I tell you what, we need to make a mark. All right? And we need to let them know that we are serious because they are frigging serious, guys. They're going to crush you. That's their intent. Okay? We got other prophecies and things coming through. I'm not even going to really talk about them, guys. All right, might. Next week, maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, get ready for some rough times, guys. Really. all right, because you're going to see it. You're seeing it now. You're going to see it, you know, in other ways, right? The weather's going to turn on us. You can see that right now. Okay, we got other things coming, so they say, out in the Pacific. We got a pretty big, you know, so they say it's going to smash off 1,000 earthquakes around. You know, we got some other things saying that I think it's the 15th or something of August or something, you know, another big tsunami. We got all this stuff going on. Well, guess what? I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on going forward and doing the best we can about getting this country back into the hands of we the people. Good night, folks.
In the land of sunburned skies, where spirits rise and never die, we're the warriors of our mother's heart. Together we'll tear the darkness apart. Through the fire, through the pain, we'll stand strong, we'll break these chains. This country's ours, the call resounds. True blue souls will stand our ground. Screaming loud, we're the battle cry. From the left to the right, we'll never die. In unity, our spirit is the sword. Together we fight, together adored. We'll rise from ashes, we'll forge a way. In the shadows, we'll seize the day. Hands held high, we will not fall. We are Australia, we'll answer the call. Hear the whispers of the lost and torn.